I see opportunities to deal with climate change if you believe it's a problem, and to improve life for many people, and get local people taking charge of our town, even if you don't believe in it. I'd like to start by improving the look of the town. A guy called George couldn't be here tonight, he's an ex-Vauxhall worker. He said, what are they doing with the old site? Why can't we turn that into allotments, for example, at a time there's a waiting list for allotments? There are lots of derelict spaces in Luton. Why aren't we literally making it greener? It's a small step, but it starts to put the power in our hands, and I think it does other things like building community. Vanessa, local girl, she works 3 jobs, she has to travel across town. She's just one of loads of people who's been in touch with me about buses in Luton. I think we should be doing much more for public transport, which would also give people a real choice to get out of their cars. It means subsidising buses, it means subsidising trains as well, at the least. I think we should be taking public transport back into public ownership and actually getting a little of the £100 million profit that Arriva made on its buses last year. I'd like a little bit of that at least. Cheaper gas and electricity bills. I would like, something I would fight for, is insulating every house in Luton and the surrounding area. It would create jobs, it would create training. It's the kind of thing that all of the parties do talk about, but I don't quite see the action. I really think we need to get that action. On investing in renewable energy as well, that's something I would push for. It would help us potentially get local jobs as well. I agree with Kavan that there are possibilities for manufacturing in Luton, and I don't know why we haven't got those yet. Above all, I think it is about action. My greatest inspiration, I suppose, for someone who's actually doing something a little bit about climate change is my brother. He started his own small business, making teaching products. These little wind turbines, solar cells, sells them to schools. It creates jobs in our local community, a few, it's a start, and it helps educate our kids, the next generation who are going to have to deal with this as much or much more than we are. And I think it's that kind of action that we really need, and there's real solutions. And I think we need to get serious about it. So that's what I'm standing for. But I think, above all, it starts with local people. We've got to support those local businesses, those local interventions. And if you're a skeptic here, it might be one of the things that would get you on side of actually seeing, I think there are benefits for our community, things we want to do anyway, that we can deal with by dealing with climate change.
Thank you very much.
I don't think competition works in this case. There's supposed to be competition on this line, but actually there are a few East Midlands trains now, but actually First Capital Connect, it's all we've got. And I think we should take it back in public ownership. I also think with local buses, I think at least some of them we should be taking back into local ownership as well. I don't know why it's about making profit. I think it should be about good local services for local people. Work on the bus, the guided busway before we go any further. Let's see if we can do a train line. I mean, Essex said 85 million. I don't think we know how much it's going to cost, because the cost is going up and up and up. Yeah, exactly. And I just don't think we know. And I think we could take some of that money and get serious about putting it into actually subsidising buses. Why aren't there more evening services on some of the routes across town? For example, why aren't there more regular services? And something I've never understood about the Labour government, because I think this is really it's a social justice issue. It's about actually people in every community having decent transport links. Never understood why the Labour government has got serious, never got serious about public transport. So I think the guided busway is more like a misguided busway, and I think we should stop it now. I was looking for the answer to your question, actually, is actually how do we create green jobs, whether it's industry or something else in Luton. So I wrote to everybody on the government's Energy and Climate Change Committee, and a lady called Julia King, who's the Vice Chancellor of Aston University, was on that panel, wrote back to me, and we've been talking, and she said actually one of the biggest things that you could do, is why I talked about it in my introduction, was insulating houses. Now it's not about building a factory, but it is something that reduces people's household energy bills, something you need to train people up, and you can do it kind of en masse across whole neighbourhoods. And so you actually help everybody, but you also create jobs and you skill people up in a kind of semi-skilled labour, if you like. That's something that is going to take quite a long time to deal with the houses. So I think those kinds of solutions, that's what I'm hearing, and that's the kind of thing that I think we should be doing.
Thank you.
The response has been we have put billions and billions into the banks. We had a timid tax on the richest people in society, when actually, if we up those taxes, I think it wouldn't hit many people in this room, maybe a couple on this panel. That if we did that, we could start to pay for things like free higher education for university students, and yes, I'm behind it. And yes, I'm behind more training and practical training for young people. But it comes down to a really big choice, actually, at this election, which is beyond, I think, all of the three parties' responses, which is about actually looking at what's happened in our society and rebalancing it. So we're putting money and we're investing in people. We've had prison populations going up in the last decade. We're investing in going to war, rather than having the best education system in the world, which is what I'd like to see. If we spent 50% more on our education system in this country, we'd be about level with the best in the world. That's where I think we should be.
Thank you.
Extremist groups thrive on poverty. And I'll come to the image in a second, but we do still have pockets of some of the worst poverty in this country, in Luton, and I don't think we've done enough about it. I think we need to do some of the things that Mark was talking about, actually, supporting small businesses and in some of the most deprived communities, because that is the way that actually we're going to create the conditions where it's going to be the hardest for those extremist groups, even though they're only attracting a few people, to exist at all. We do need to change the image as well. I'll tell you, I'll just leave you I mentioned this guy earlier, George, a local guy, ex-Vauxhall. The ludicrously ambitious thing he wanted to do, the ex-Vauxhall site, was turn it into the Eden Project, like in Cornwall. I don't know if you've seen this, it's kind of biased there. I thought, fantastic. I have no idea if that's possible. But it's the level of ambition we need. I spoke to a local business person. She said, we need a bloody great landmark in Luton. And we need, that's the kind of story that is going to change how people look at Luton.
Thank you.